This is the Oregon Fan Show on Fan Media Network. Well, welcome into another Oregon Fan episode on Fan Media alongside Tyler Peterson and Juwaan Williams. I'm TJ Brassel, and Oregon Fan episode, Quack Corner, whatever you want to call it. We're still working on. That's on me. I got to get that name like right spot on. I apologize, Juan. Don't let me hear it too bad on that one. Also want to shout out Tyler for. I told you guys that he's kind of our like quality control here. He was making sure we're not going to get too crazy Oregon. So he's repping the ASU to make sure that to remind us like, hey, calm it down. Just chill for like a little bit. Oregon's good, but I'm here to tell you why Oregon's great. So real quick, just a kind of a recap of some stuff. It's been about a week or so since our last episode. So some stuff that's been going on with a lot of the spring sports. Volleyball just wrapped up a great season. Finished up in the Sweet 16. We're super close to getting to the Elite Eight. I really thought they're going to have it there. I'll tell you guys a story about that in a second. Oregon softball struggling a little bit recently, but they've still got a win versus Washington and a win versus UCLA. They dropped the 3 other games versus them, but the one versus Washington, they did run rule them. So also that's the number 2 and the number 6 team in the country. So like not too shabby of opponents that they lost to. Baseball balling out. They're ranked as high as 13 in some of the polls. Akron tumbling headed into this week's national championship. They're ranked 3, and Oregon track and field holding it down, near and dear to my heart. They had some more top 10 school performances in school history, I guess, the last couple of weeks. So they're doing it. Guys, is there anything that I missed that you guys saw the last couple of weeks?
Well, first of all, Teach, usually I have my little helmet with me, but I thought I'd go really ostentatious today and pick the ASU sweater. But it's all good because Oregon doesn't have a hockey team. ASU, this is a hockey sweater, so
Fair
it's
enough.
All good. Yeah, you know what? The one thing that I thought was pretty surprising was Taylor Chavez announced that she was going in the transfer portal, and she transferred into another Pac-12 team. She's going to Arizona. And while it's a surprise that she did transfer, probably wasn't a surprise that she went back to her home of surprise, Arizona, to play for Adia Barnes and the Wildcats. It was a family decision too. She wanted to be closer to her family, closer to her grandmother, and she'll get to play for the runner-up Wildcats now. So all the best to Taylor. Oregon is losing one of their vets, though.
Absolutely. I mean, it's also, it speaks to the level of kind of that freshman class that came in, and I guess you could almost say kind of pushed out some of the vets in playing time. But I mean, that's a big get for Arizona too, like losing Ari. And I'm not saying Taylor is going to be the next Ari McDonald, but having a really good vet presence now coming in to help fill that role, that's a big get for them. Want anything from you?
Absolutely. We lost someone also to the women's basketball staff, and Mark Campbell and Chavi Lopez going to Sac State and starting their own program there. So you got to give it up to those two. I feel like they've been a key cog in the machine that Kelly Graves runs over there, especially Chavi with his international recruiting, and then Mark being a defensive coordinator and a great mind on the sideline next to Coach Graves.
No, absolutely. That's huge for Sac State, and we obviously wish both of them good luck in creating that program. I'm sure we'll be hearing big things from Sac State coming soon. And you mentioned D coordinator, which starts to get me thinking about football. But before we get to that, I just have to tell you guys, I think it's kind of funny, this story from volleyball. So I was watching the Sweet 16 game, and I was kind of flipping back and forth between that and just some other stuff that was on TV. And it got to the point where every time I would flip on Oregon, they would like lose a couple of points. So I was like, well, now I can't watch because they're up 2 and like they're trying to get to a 5th set. So I was literally like trying to not watch the Oregon game. And I would just flip it, check the score, flip it, check the score. And then it got to like the last point. And I was like, I'm going to risk it, but I want to see the point. And they lost. So sorry, Oregon women's volleyball. That's on me. I will take full blame. I apologize. Please don't hurt me. All right. But we mentioned football. Football is now headed into, I believe they only have 7 practices left of spring ball. Spring game, I believe, is on the 1st, so that's coming up soon. Juan, you went through a lot of spring balls. Like when you look back and you think about kind of that halfway point of spring ball, like what has been accomplished at this point, and then what are you trying to get done in this second half before the spring game?
I mean, a lot's been accomplished. You are during your first year, you're the focal point. The freshmen, sophomores, the younger guys are the focal point of the first couple of weeks. You know, the veterans are still getting themselves back acclimated to practice, things of that nature. They're in it, but they're not, you know, fully in it. I'd say the freshmen and sophomores are getting the bulk of the reps, while the vets are, you know, taking the first team one-on-one 1v1 reps. But other than that, you know, you're more predicated to the young guys trying to see what they can do, how they can help, you know, elevate the teams going into the summer.
When you're talking about the spring game and the conditioning and the practices moving up to that, as far as roles on the team, how defined are they at this point right now in this process? Do we know sort of how the depth chart is going to look when you're practicing with those guys going up against guys trying to, you know, be that starting DB? Do we have a good sense of what the team looks like now, or does the spring game sort of change a lot of things depending on how guys play?
I'd say that the spring is a pivotal point for everybody, just because your seniors are gone. Now you're trying to see who the voice of your locker room will be going forward. You'll find out, you know, maybe 3 or 4 guys that speak up in that spot. But now, as a depth chart wise, you're like, okay, everyone who I'm looking at probably has little to no experience. So now we're trying to build depth, build experience as we go along, and see who can make those plays. I'd say towards the end of spring, they probably have the idea of who could be 1, who could be 2. But other than that, it's like, okay, I got, you know, 25 freshmen coming in. They're going to play some type of role. Fall camp is always a big predictor, because you have probably 90 to 120 days between spring ball and fall camp, where you can make some improvement body wise and knowledge of the game. But are you, you know, getting those same hits, those same reps as we do in practice? So it's a little bit different, but spring is very pivotal for those that are still on the team, trying to make that jump into the limelight and get the playing time.
And especially with this year, with this freshman class coming in, this highly touted freshman class, I mean, it seems like there might be some freshmen that come in and snag some. I don't know if they're necessarily going to snag starting jobs away, but they're definitely going to be snagging some reps. The freshmen that aren't already on campus, because there's quite a few of them already there. But you made an interesting point when you're talking about, like, all right, the seniors are gone. Now it's who's going to be the voice. Except I feel like it's almost except for this year with the COVID rule and people being able to come back. And there were so many people that came back: Travis Dye, CJ Verdell, Anthony Brown. It's so I had this like gut feeling that the highly recruited Ty Thompson was going to kind of come in and just wow people and take that job over. And Anthony Brown's, from all the reports I've been kind of reading from Rob Mosley, is he's been getting all the first team reps, and he's been doing a really good job, which, I mean, speaks that he didn't really have that off season last year. So now he gets a whole off season. You really get to see what he'll look like. But when you talk about having this senior presence now being able to return, like, what does that do for the team this upcoming year?
I mean, it gives a level of comfort to the coaching staff and to, you know, the other seniors. But also you have a senior that's been through it. You have a veteran that's seen the ebbs and flows of the season and can, you know, help along young quarterbacks or young players just in general. And now you're as a coach, you're not looking towards, you know, who's going to step up and say what we need, what the team needs, or, you know, say what's on their mind from a player coach standpoint. And you can rely on the senior. You can, you know, step away from the team for a little bit and have this senior, you know, run workouts, run 7-on-7, run voluntary workouts, and, you know, be assured that the team will get better in those workouts.
TJ, let me expand on something you said, because obviously there's 2 important things about what you said. Number one, the huge recruiting class, and number 2, the great senior presence with the COVID rule. When you guys both look at what will be the spring game and then moving into fall camp, we're only 4 months away from football, really. What position matchups are most intriguing to you right now?
I mean, for me, I'm always looking for the defensive side of the ball. I
Shocker.
love I love to see what's going on in the back end. You know, who will be next to McKinley in the back end, and then also who is stepping up from the linebacking crew. I know TJ has a great fascination with the linebacking core that we have together.
Oh, I love them so much.
Hopefully we see what Flo can do in the spring game and how he's recovered from his injury. But yeah, I'm just excited to see, you know, how the new defense coordinator comes in and, you know, makes his mark on the team.
I mean, I really think when it's all said and done, this is going to be the best linebacking core Oregon's ever had. By the time they're all done at Oregon, like hopefully the injury bug doesn't, hopefully they get past. I know like we were talking about Flo kind of coming back from that injury, but just seeing like little clips and stuff of what it seems like these guys can do. Like, I mean, we saw what Sewell did last year. Like you just add more guys to that, add this new system. I'm so excited. And I know you're looking at DBs. I mean, I'm really intrigued to see Dante Manning this year too, because he was another guy who was a really big recruit last year, got dinged up a lot of injuries, and so didn't really get his chance to shine. So yeah, I'm with Juan in the whole defensive side. I'm very intrigued to see the defensive side, but I mean, I don't want to be cliche here, but I'm really intrigued with this whole quarterback thing. Like the receivers, like I'm intrigued just to see what happens, but it's like, they're so loaded at receiver. It's just like, just throw another guy out there and like, they're going to ball. Like they're deep at running back. Their line is stacked. It's just like, I want to see, like in the snippets we saw of Anthony Brown last year, he had some pretty good moments. So it's like, all right, can he do that for a full year? Like, I'm just really intrigued to see how this all comes together for this team.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but even if Shuck had not transferred, if he had stayed, this probably would be even more of a competitive quarterback race right now.
Absolutely. That's, I mean, I feel like the fact that he transferred is very telling, is that like, it was a competition, and like, who knows? And I'm not saying anything about Shuck at all. I'm not saying he's shying away from that. Like, I think he did a great job last year. I wish him all the best at Texas Tech. I have nothing wrong against Shuck, but I definitely think it was not his job to lose anymore. It was, all right, it's a battle. Someone go win it. And now it looks like it's Anthony Brown's job to lose.
And you know what? Those are the best times, because I remember when I came into ASU as a freshman, Taylor Kelly, I believe, was the fourth string guy coming in from when he came in from Hurricane. He's an Eagle, Idaho native. I remember that, but he was a fourth string guy, and he wasn't really flashy, but he led the team to 5th in the country my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. So you never really know what some of these guys, whether they're highly touted or not highly touted, sometimes they can win that competition.
Yeah. And I think the motto that they have coming out of that team right now, iron sharpens iron. Like, I love that motto. I think that's a really good motto. And before we go, just want to let everyone know that we are going to be starting a new segment on the show. We want everyone to comment comments, comment questions, anything you guys want. We will be picking a comment or a question to talk about on the show. And if it's good enough, you might come and be a featured guest on the show as well. So be sure to comment on all of these videos, and we'll see what happens from there. But thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, simply create a profile on Fan Media's iOS app or website. Select your teams and make a short intro video on your phone. Show hosts, reporters, former players, and superfans can use our Get Verified feature and make an intro video as well, and our mobile newsroom staff will reach out.